welcome to SunnyRedemption Sailing, your bi-weekly-ish voyage for BS3 gaming news. And there has been so much BS in the gaming industry lately, basically in the form of B with a $sign, because holy shit, all the price increases. When we talked offline, playing Saints Row 2, you know, the original GTA at home, basically it seems like the consensus that we had when it came to GTA 6 was that we were actually going to wait for gameplay, unlike a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like I thought when I spoke about that, I thought like, oh, there hasn't been much gameplay. Then I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah, there really hasn't been any actual like, you know, minute to minute gameplay. Maybe like some quick, you know, cuts and shots in a trailer that you look at and say, oh, that could be somewhat reminiscent of gameplay, but you know, even if you kind of know what to expect because it's a GTA game, like I still need to see like the game in actual like just an extended demo is all I want. Oh, we have a skeleton ship on our way.
Yeah, speaking of gameplay.
Yeah. He might abandon us because we're near the islands a little bit.
Okay.
So, you know,
all right, well,
fight him if you want, but maybe not.
Well, oh, you might want to check on whatever that cursed cannonball just did.
Oh, I didn't even see it. Did it anchor us? No? Okay. I don't know.
But yeah, due to the likelihood of there being an online mode shortly after launch, the only way that I'm getting this game is if you do.
Yeah. Why don't you just repair? We're about to hit the island, and the skeleton ship's just gonna...
Totally. And I just paid gold to restore my ship. What is going on?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That is how it goes indeed in the Sea of Thieves. Like, yeah, $80 is a lot to commit if you're not really in love with the GTA series, and I just have not glommed onto it the way others have. I think that a lot of it is the clunky controls.
Yeah, for me, the controls aren't so much an issue. It's just, I don't know, GTA 5 was... I thought it was pretty great at the time, but it lost steam a bit for me. I didn't find the story nearly as interesting as pretty much any other one. Even some of the more bare bones ones like 3. So, I mean, and coming off of 4, which I thought probably had the best story, like, all right, that skeleton ship should, in theory, be leaving us alone.
It's not.
All right, well, let's, I guess, if he really wants to fight, if he comes back around the island, I guess we'll just...
I'll just load cannonballs. You go explore. I can fight him stationary just fine.
On this island either. It's just one treasure, and it's a small island.
Yeah.
So
this is one of the fortresses, right? I suspected as much.
Barnacle Key. I don't think. Oh, it's one of the ones that was retrofitted. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I forgot. I haven't really done the fortresses that much since they updated them.
Well, there's not the skeleton forts logo over this island. There is a skeleton fort.
Right, yeah, they added this bit to this island a while ago. I just haven't been here in forever.
Well,
I kind of forget.
He still wants to fight us. Oh dear.
Really? Oh.
Okay. Maybe well,
change how. All right. Well, I'm just gonna get back on the ship and help you with that, so that we can just get this guy off our backs.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep hammering him while we talk, but yeah. And then it's really scummy what they did with the deluxe edition. For $100, you get a few more stories and some cars.
Yeah, that's the part that rubs me the wrong way. Like, the $80 initial price tag is like, yeah, okay, Nintendo's already done that. Xbox almost did that. So it's not like they're the first ones out of the gate with that.
Yeah, for those who don't know, with Mario Kart World and the Outer Worlds 2, respectively, before the backlash forced them to cave on Outer Worlds. Oh boy, we got cursed again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab like some fireballs and stuff.
Okay. Once this curse is done, I'm just gonna try to get some hits off before they get around the island. I really didn't want to abandon my parking spot. That's what I'm just hoping.
I think it'll be fine. We have plenty of wooden cannonballs and stuff. So anyway, while we're under attack, the idea of games as complete products is definitely under attack. Of course, they didn't want to have like an early access thing so that people wouldn't leak and spoil the story for people. And that is supposedly the reason why there's no physical edition. But let's be fucking honest here. They just want to keep all the money for themselves.
Yeah. Even if that can be a contributing factor, I don't think that's the main reason.
Absolutely fucking not. And the other thing is that they do have a physical code in a box, probably to satisfy antitrust complaints that might result, because Sony just had to pay a settlement in the form of like $25 PlayStation cards or whatever to a bunch of people who felt that they were unfairly impacted by the end of PSN game cards, and digital codes, because Sony got mad that some of those stores would sell them at a lower price in order to try to attract business. And so they cut off all legal means of buying PlayStation games digitally other than the store, and now they just pay what is essentially small potatoes, and they get to keep on with business as usual. And I had been hoping that the rumors that there would be a physical edition, like an actual physical edition, a month later would be true, but it appears that that was based on an email that was incorrectly interpreted by others, and so it's just, it's a code in the box. Again, I'll get it if you do, but if you're not super into the idea of paying $80 at launch, then that's fine.
Thing is, I have plenty of time to budget that out. It's not a matter of like, the price really isn't the thing. It's just like, I need to see footage. I'm like, I'm reasonably sure I'm going to be getting the game. It's just a matter of like, I need to see the footage for myself before I make an actual decision on that. Like, I'm not just going to buy a game having seen no footage, even if it is GTA 6.
Well, yeah, I mean, the trouble is that what I really wanted was to be able to rent it, but that's never going to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
Because, again, we live in this age where digital ownership means fucking nothing. Look at what happened with 550 studio canal movies getting removed from PlayStation. Your digital ownership isn't actually digital ownership or anything. And that's making me nervous about my Microsoft Movies and TV collection. The movies are fine on other platforms via Movies Anywhere. The problem being that these are essentially indefinite rentals is what they're saying now, and that's frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that stuff's always in the fine print. It's like, hey, this is just a license we can revoke. It's just like, that doesn't happen very often because of the fear of backlash.
And these are well-known movies too, like Terminator 2. So what happens with more obscure movies later? And there isn't an equivalent program for the TV shows on Microsoft Movies and TV. In theory, if I wanted to really back them up, and most of them are season premieres that I grabbed for free because I was a cheapo on that. Although I did buy entire seasons of TV sometimes, most notably Jane the Virgin and For the People. At least I can download them to my PC if I really wanted to. I guess if you manage to download it to your PS4 or 5, but even then, it may just not work. I guess people will find out come September 1st, but that's just endlessly frustrating because, well, Sony feels like they're the market leader. Screw you. And they really are. Because even though the whole story of pre-orders being 6-1 in favor of PS5 for GTA 6 are inaccurate, and Microsoft debunked that, and even IGN acknowledged that it was based on internal community interest, games still sell, especially single-player games, at like a 75-25 rate in favor of PlayStation. So they feel like they get to coast and do whatever they want. And they can just, because they had the marketing deal for GTA, because it's spiritually associated with PlayStation, they could just plaster it all over their store. And even trailers that are hosted by Grand Theft Auto themselves, by Rockstar, remove other logos because fuck you, I guess. We're gonna act like we're an exclusive game.
Yeah, Rockstar is not really new to that, because that was a huge thing. I mean, Peter Moore didn't get GTA 4 tattooed on himself for no reason.
What? I never heard that felt.
Oh yeah, I mean, it did swing the other way in 360 era because that was a huge deal, and 360 or Microsoft swung their weight around at the time. I forget how long the time window was, but the expansion packs for GTA 4 were straight up just like Xbox exclusive for a while, which was
Oh
pretty
right,
crazy at the
yeah.
time.
I do
So, you
remember
know,
hearing about
it
that. Obviously, I didn't
does
have a
go both
360.
ways. It does go both ways.
It does, unfortunately. And
Oh, I put down a voyage whenever you're ready.
and I benefited from that when the Division came out because I just got to play it a little earlier with the DLC, I mean, with my friends. That kind of little tactic though definitely swung away from Microsoft after the Rise of the Tomb Raider controversy. And
Yeah.
so Sony illegally money-hatted an entire fucking genre of games. Namely, most JRPGs didn't come to Xbox for a while. I mean, there were other factors too, such as the fact that Japanese people just did not and do not really
Yeah,
buy
I mean,
Xbox consoles or
that-
games. But
like, I definitely understand where you're coming from in terms of like, you know, them buying things to further cement that association with PlayStation, but it's not as if like Xbox did try at one
yeah,
point
I'm not saying.
and then kind of stopped trying. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of, you know, it's a two-sided thing in that case, I think too, because, you know,
right.
Microsoft did kind of seed the market at some point. I think
Yeah, it's just
that's
tit for
allowed
tat.
Sony to say like, oh well, they're weak here. Let's do something and just further. That was kind of the mid 2010s, just getting all those de facto Japanese exclusives, and then the nail in the coffin at the time was definitely Final Fantasy VII remake,
which was again money-hatted by Sony to be not on Xbox indefinitely.
Yeah.
But then, as Square Enix faced financial pressure, they decided to screw that and do multi-platform, which makes perfect sense. There wasn't enough money in the world at that point.
It was a deal I think that made sense for Square Enix at the time because PlayStation is already outselling Xbox in Japan by this margin. Why not take easy money from Sony? But I think both parties in that situation, well, probably mostly Square, but maybe a little bit Sony, probably looked at that and said, probably wasn't worth it in the long run.
Yeah, but you can see how the natural monopoly leads to a colluding monopoly eventually.
Yeah.
The biggest three RAM makers are Samsung, SK, and Micron, and they're all getting sued for allegedly colluding to fix RAM prices.
Yeah.
Which would make perfect sense to me, because they have just been benefiting from selling shovels in this AI gold rush, which is where the real money has been. So the fact of the matter is that people are arguing about which billion-dollar corporation they would rather submit to, and unfortunately, I can't really get away from Microsoft because my digital library traps me. But like I am sad at times that my PS5's thermal paste melted, but then other times I'm like, whatever. They just don't have the games that are interesting to me, and they keep making all these anti-consumer moves. And speaking of anti-consumer moves, though, they both stand to benefit from the insane demand for GTA because, well, there's probably not going to be consoles available this fall to meet that demand.
Yeah, GTA is definitely the biggest boon they could have asked for. Just Rockstar being one of the only console-first developers left and having the probably what's going to be the biggest entertainment launch of all time. I can't imagine anything bigger.
Yeah, and if Microsoft hadn't gouged the price of the Series S, then people would be flocking to that. But they've been fueling the RAM crisis by their insane, investment into AI, and then being like, oh, well, sorry, we can't do anything about it. We gotta raise prices on Xbox consoles.
Thankfully, I haven't had to care because,
yeah, exactly.
For the first time ever, being an early adopter actually is profitable. If I wanted to sell all my current gen consoles, I could make Like, let me think. I want to say the Series X is like $799 now, right? Or is it $749?
Let
Something
me
like
look.
that. That latest price rise was just like, oh my god, I could literally like, if I were to just like abandon video games and go become like a monk in the mountains, I could make some good money.
Well, you'd buy the ticket with that, I suppose, to Nepal.
Yeah.
Ow, could you leave me alone while I'm trying to look up the
All right.
insane racketeering here? So, the Xbox Series X will be $800 for the 1 TB version, and they're getting rid of the 2 TB version. So,
Yeah,
there
that's right.
any Galaxy consoles that are out there, then get them now, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't get 800 for selling it to someone, but like, my console is theoretically worth $300 more than it was, 5.5 years ago. That's just insane to me.
The Xbox Series S, 512 gigabytes, is $500, which is what the price of the Series X was at launch. Are you fucking kidding me?
Like, I remember like I got my friend a Series S a few years ago, like 2023, I want to say. Yeah, it was like early 2023. They were practically giving those things away if you were a Verizon customer. Like, I think I got him for like $140 or something like that.
Dang.
Insane. Because they
When
basically just had like a half off coupon that I had like additional Verizon credit I added on to it. So I
what
gave him like a late Christmas present, just like, hey, I got you a Series S because it was dirt cheap. 500? That's insane.
the Series S 1 TB, by the way, is $600, and then the digital Series X is $750. So you get a little bit of a
So
discount for giving up
yeah,
your right to own games ever.
yeah.
I mean, you're not
like,
really owning any software because software is a license. Because if you could just copy the software because you own it, then that would be a real problem. But in theory, you have a resellable license with a disc, and that's not what's happening
yeah.
here.
I'm really doubting that either next gen console is going to launch with a disc drive. But like, if by some chance it does, that will definitely be the version I get because I just have too many like old 360 original Xbox games on disc.
Oh yeah, I've seen your collection.
If there's even just like an attachable thing, like I really hope they keep some form of putting discs in the thing. They have to, because there's just enough. Even if the market is predominantly digital and has been for a while on the Xbox side, like there's enough discs out there. I think they need to like do something for the people that are still buying discs.
Yeah, because that's your hardcore
it's
base. They'll revolt if
even
you
if it's
don't.
yeah, even if it's an additional add-on for extra money, like that's at least preferable to not having any option. So I'm really hoping they just at least have some kind of option.
Well, here's my own Xbox console buying history. I got gifted an Xbox One Fat in 2015 for 400. It cost $400 with Forza Horizon 2. My parents gave it to me, and then I splurged on games because I didn't have to buy the console. When I got the One X, that was $500, and that felt worth it, even though they went back on their promise of VR, because the graphics and loading times were much better. And then the Series X I got at launch for $500 because I knew there would be new games down the line, and I thought that the launch was pretty solid, actually. Even if there weren't a ton of new exclusive games, I did enjoy my time with the disc games that I picked up at launch, which were Yakuza Like a Dragon and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I would only have $20 left over if I had that same budget after buying a Series S 1 TB.
That's
Fucking unbelievable. Without any
yeah.
ability to get physical games. Anyway,
Yep.
so what I ended up doing in 2023 in order to pay for my move was I sold the fat one, which unfortunately had the orange light of death, but it served me and my friend well for 8 years. It just like eventually the power supplies just are getting bad for Xbox Ones, which is not great for long-term game preservation unless somebody comes up with a solution. And also the Series X, because I figured, well, I would get it again later once Starfield came out, and maybe there would be a special edition of that. I should have sold my PS5 if I had known that Spider-Man 2 was going to be mid. But I had gotten the PS5 specifically for Spider-Man 2, so I wasn't going to do that. And the cash did help me pay for my move. And then, well, I got it again for about, I want to say, $400 with the wrap. Because that was the only way to make it special. And I still have that one to this day. And that should help, with reliability, because it's a newer console. It should be rock solid. And over the years, I've gotten a couple of memory cards. I would not be able to get that after spending $800 on just the console for 1 fucking terabyte. What are you doing?
Funny, those memory cards were and still, are overpriced, but like they actually seem reasonable now compared to like what a lot of things are costing.
And prices did fall once they actually had any kind of price competition from Western Digital creating them, in addition to Seagate. That's still not a lot, and they are still expensive, but prices have fallen for them, and now they're probably going to go back up.
Yeah, I do see like 30-40% off deals on those every now and then. It's like, oh, well, that's at least more in line with what they probably should be in the first place.
The nice thing about current gen is you can cold store games on hard drives, but most people are going to want at least external SSDs, to do that, because hard drives are noisy, they load up slow, they take forever to copy anything. I remember. And so, I mean, they're basically tiny record players writing data in there. But solid state memory was so expensive for so long that they did not include that with the Xbox One when they originally planned to. So the frustration here is now that's going up. And because of GTA 6, this is the real cost of GTA 6. Because of the demand for GTA 6, they're going to get away with it this holiday season, because people are going to pay anything, to access the latest and greatest GTA game in their minds. We'll see if it's actually like a masterpiece or anything, but it'll probably be highly rated by reviewers everywhere. And so it'll be in high demand no matter what. Of course, there will be a tidy sector of people selling their old consoles, or, just buying used consoles in general, and that's what people should do. But with these consoles getting so expensive now, and the buy now, pay later creeping in, how much longer is that going to be viable for people? For even this gen? That is a lot of summoned skeletons. Nice.
Yeah, I forgot that you could actually open Reaper's chest now, and that's what it does.
Oh, okay, cool.
I knew it did something. I'm actually going to ditch it because it makes us marked on the map.
Oh, well.
Any of that.
As long as we get to keep the skeletons, right?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out, because I think I've opened one once since they added that. Let's find out. No, I think they respawn on the island, but honestly, we're not.
Well, there's others that have spawned on the island. So I think it's every time that you open this that skeletons pop up.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we still have our skeleton crew.
Yep. I'll take it.
And they're fighting that guy for us for some reason.
Oh, no. I forgot we still had stuff to get on this island.
Okay, yeah.
Is that a player ship? Or is that a skeleton ship? That's a skeleton ship. Okay.
Okie doke. Yeah, that makes me feel much better. But I'm just going to take a look out on the crow's nest, just in case.
Okay. Yep. I'll just get these last 2 chests. Should be pretty easy.
And the thing that's frustrating about GTA 6 is that its success will negatively influence the industry. I don't know that many games will be able to get away with $80 price points, but when the bar is set so high graphically after this game has been worked on for 13 fucking years, naturally, that's what big publishers are going to chase, because once anyone starts a trend, that's what people chase, is shiny graphics just to have them. And big ass world just because you can. And that means games are going to take longer and be shinier, and maybe actually they do climb up to $80. Because you can probably speak more to this. The history of game prices has always been incredibly variable, and people were lucky for about a decade or two
Yeah,
that
like
the standard was 60.
I kind of caught the tail end of like the variable game prices growing up, because that was, I think the last console where that was really prevalent was like the N64, because cartridge prices and different,
Oh
levels
yeah.
of storage on the cartridge, if you wanted like, battery backup and stuff. That was a case where some games would go up to 80, 90, but that was still something that was not very common. Like I think most games at that time were still hovering in the 50 to 60 range. And I think now it's less of a cartridge manufacturing problem, obviously, and more of a, oh, I keep forgetting we still have one more chest on silent. It's not a cartridge manufacturing problem. It's just, hey, the budget for these games is getting so insane. And I don't want to justify it by saying that, but that's probably part of their reasoning, is saying like, hey, we've spent so much money on this game. We need to get it back by a lot, and this is the shortcut to doing it, is just raise the price ceiling.
Well, but it's a guaranteed seller, and so that makes me even more frustrated about things like the layoffs at Cloud Chamber Games related to BioShock 4, because, oh, woe is us. One developer isn't delivering a product on time. When you have GTA fucking 6 that will print money for the next decade for you, and the 2K sports games that you're fucking lazy about, and even Borderlands. I mean, Borderlands 4 didn't do as well, but it seems to have done decent as, say, Borderlands 3, but it seems to have done decent numbers. Why are we penny pinching? Not everybody has to be infinitely growing.
I think the higher ups of those companies would disagree, because I think a lot of their pay packages are tied to growth and things like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's being a public company. If there's even so much as a tiny slip in a quarter, that becomes the news and the stock tumbles. I watched a really cool video essay recently that I'll track down later about how, like, Tiny Build got into trouble once it became a public company, and Devolver stock also collapsed. Once a company that was so well known for being like, screw the big publishers and their obsession with money, had to be accountable to shareholders. Because this video essay made the excellent point that indie publishers can kind of be like venture capital, that if a few shows fail, or games, or whatever, or apps, then you know what? Oh well, as long as you have a couple of big bets that really do well. I said shows at first because I was thinking of Glitch, which just wrapped The Amazing Digital Circus and has gotten tens of millions of views, a bunch of merchandise, and a theatrical release for an indie animation studio, which was so awesome, but I didn't manage to see it. The finale made me cry. And I just saw Gameoverse.
I know that one. Yeah, I've been following that one for like a decade.
I just saw it today, and it's really good.
Yeah, it is great. I'm glad they got something out there finally, because, like I said, it's been in the works since like 2015 or so.
Yeah, I saw one of the original episodes for that. By the way, there's a Red Mermaid statue I'm going to try and get. If you want to join
I'll
me.
help you, and then once we're done with that, I did just put down a voyage as well. I should
Sounds
have time
good.
for one or two more.
Sure. These are nice and quick.
Yep.
Anyway, so they've been able to fund a couple of other shows that probably won't be as big of hits, like the Gaslight District and Lackadaisy. They took over the production of that, like helping with the funding for that, because it's based on a decently well-read webcomic, but it's pretty niche. Gameoverse really has those ingredients of like compelling character relationships and interesting gaming-related hook in the age where Hollywood is mining every game for adaptations, because that's where we are now, including the Backrooms, which made a gazillion dollars, and yet A24 is going to do some AI stuff. Yeah, they tanked their reputation overnight, and, well, at least it won't be used for the Backrooms. That has been confirmed. This really shows that people are hungry for new ideas, and they are willing to pay for that. However, the inevitable success of GTA 6 is going to tell studios, hey, we need to double down on our biggest franchises that people know already so we can have guaranteed financial returns, which is exactly what Microsoft is doing for like the 60th time, going back to our biggest franchises because that's what makes sense. And then, in a few years, they'll be like, oh, we're acquiring these developers in order to vary our game library. It's like, screw you. Oh, but apparently they're also turning off any new contracts for third-party games on Game Pass. At least that's the rumor.
Oh, that would be devastating. Move. Yeah, like that's. Like,
I'm not sure if it's accurate, but that's what I read as a rumor.
If that's in any way accurate, like that just is insane to me. Like I'm someone who like I come to Game Pass and I plan to renew Game Pass 2027 even for the $22.99 price, because like I do value it as sort of a, hey, try out a bunch of games service and maybe buy the ones you like.
I'll just get another year on the gray market.
If the third party selection starts to dry up, that would make me seriously reconsider, because like at that point it's like, if I'm mostly paying for first party stuff, I'm just gonna start buying those outright again. Like a lot of the older first party games go on sale enough. Next time Sea of Thieves is on sale for $15, I'll just buy it.
Oh right, yeah, you still don't technically own it. I bought it shortly after launch digitally, after buying two copies physically, despite having Game Pass.
Yeah, the only first-party Xbox games I've bought since they've been rolled into Game Pass, releases since then, have been like Ultimate Editions for, just the upgrade paths, and I think maybe just like Psychonauts 2, because I got that as like a backer reward.
Oh yeah, right. That was originally on, what was the name of the platform? Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
And so they honored that. That was really nice. I bought Forza Horizon 5 Ultimate Edition and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 Ultimate Edition, and those were the last ones that I bought because I knew I would enjoy those games. After that, I cooled a little bit, but I got the premium upgrade for 6 and did the same thing for E-Day, and will likely do the same thing for Clockwork Revolution because I'm super hyped for that game. But that's not going to net nearly as much money as Microsoft would probably like. I don't think they're going to get rid of third-party games on Game Pass entirely. I think it just means that they're going to pursue them less. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense when they're cutting their indie studios' legs out from under them. And it's frustrating, too, because being a third-party with a Game Pass deal definitely doesn't guarantee you anything. Look at what happened to poor Luna Abyss. And speaking of which, a bunch of unionized Microsoft employees have spoken out as part of the Communication Workers of America. The statement by the unionized Xbox developers said, "We're done paying for executives' failures." Thank you. I mean, the insiders have been stating that this will be a bloodbath, and this is even hitting ZeniMax. If you're not working on Fallout or Elder Scrolls, you're in jeopardy. This is from IGN. During the CWA press conference, speakers stated that they were growing frustrated as Microsoft hadn't given all of the union reps time to bargain, with one CWA member stating that Microsoft had sat on a proposal for 4 months. At least the World of Warcraft's bargaining team did see real gains this past weekend, but they want the right to have advance notice of layoffs, 2 years of recall rights, the ability to be rehired if their position is reopened after layoffs, adequate severance, voluntary severance to avoid involuntary layoffs, and for Microsoft to transfer impacted staff to other studios or roles within the larger company. I imagine that a lot of the studios that are closing will have that happen. But why, if you're just focusing on these games, why lay them off and then move them? Why not just basically do a Call of Duty Mines situation for a little bit where you have these other developers helping out with the big projects for a little bit while their projects are maybe on hold. It's not ideal, but it's better than, leaving people to rot in
Yeah.
the middle of
I
the
mean,
worst economy
I
ever
guess the
since the Great Recession.
the answer to that at the end of the day is just that would cost more money, and the thing that a lot of these execs are being asked to do or are just doing on their own terms is like, well, we need to be spending less money and making more money with what we have.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of the whole crux of, I don't want to get into like a super broader union versus capitalism debate or anything, but like that's why
Well,
so
that's
many,
exactly the debate that people
that's
need
just
to
what
have.
that's just like the general anti-union sentiment is like, well, it'll cost us more and make us create less products for the consumer. That's their argument. I think that's pretty bullshit, but that's at least their argument.
Well, people are electing democratic socialists across the country because, or at least nominating them in primaries.
Yeah,
Backed by Mondani, because
the milquetoast Democrats.
People want results and are getting them from democratic socialists who actually give a shit. Otherwise, the broader government is paralyzed when it comes to economic reforms because the bipartisan housing bill was passed with huge majorities in the House and Senate, and now it's going to be sent to President Trump's desk. And if he doesn't sign it because he's a whiny baby who wants to strong arm Congress into trying to pass a law that will never get past the filibuster that the Republicans don't want to get rid of because the Democrats would immediately use that against them to basically be able to steal votes from anyone he likes and kill mail-in balloting now that the Supreme Court has said actually it's okay if you receive it as after election day as long as it's postmarked. I was worried there for a second, but at least they killed that. But the broader chaos in the government will continue because now that the Supreme Court has said that the president can basically fire any high-level executive official he likes, except for the Fed, to protect the Supreme Court stock portfolio, at least for now, when it comes to Lisa Cook. Basically, it's going to be a flip-flop every 4 years of clearing out the government in favor of loyalists, and that's going to suck a whole lot. And proposals to, say, expand the Supreme Court aren't much better for a bunch of esoteric reasons that are very off topic. But the point being that there's not going to be any broader solutions for a while, even with the almost certain bloodbath in the midterms for the Republicans. Yeah. So no matter how much they threaten to send goons to the polls and try to steal votes and stuff like that, that's gonna happen. That doesn't mean we shouldn't fight for our democracy, but there is very clearly a corporatist class that allowed the rise of fascism because fascism and state corporatism go hand in hand. Just look at what happened with the UFC fight where there was $60 million spent by a private company to get access to the White House. And people ate it up because bread and circuses. Well, actually just circuses, not much bread. That's why Trump will get his ass kicked. Unless he does something drastic. But I'll be going over that more on July 4th with History Flights number 13. MAGA's Great American State Failure. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like to hear more about that. Anyway, my broader point tying it back into gaming is that the geopolitical state of things is so chaotic that companies are being very conservative and being like, we cannot eat a loss for a single quarter ever. Not even Apple, who makes such ridiculous margins. Probably a lot of it has to do with the tremendous bet that they took on the Vision Pro. They spent $33 billion in R&D. So, like, they'd have to make insane sales numbers to justify that, and they just are quietly killing off an entire product category because it didn't do that. But like Xbox has $78 billion in cash on hand. They had $101 billion in net equity last year. They're not going to go under. This is why it's so frustrating, because it's like, well, maybe the billionaires should just eat shit for fucking once and stop taking it out on the developers. That's why it's great that the union is fighting here.
Yeah.
That's what unions do. That's what my union is doing, even though I'm probably going to be illegally forced into the office. At least I have reasonable accommodations, and at least it seems like I'm not going to get illegally terminated again because my union fought, even though I'm not part of the bargaining unit. For all the employees, they want these protections extended to all people at Microsoft. And that's exactly what should happen. But it's not going to stop the rising prices, especially not, sadly, for the Steam machine.
Yeah. I mean, that's something where like I am barely in the Steam ecosystem these days. So like something like that, I wasn't really that compelled by the Steam Deck, but something like just a simple box under the TV, I think at a $600 to $700 price point could have swayed me. At 1,000 plus, not at all. Like that's just a little too much. And again, like I've already said like I will probably pay whatever for the Helix as long as it's not, you know, if we're hitting $1,000 with the Helix, that's more valuable to me personally, just because I'm in that ecosystem.
Well, it seems like the Series X will hit $1,000 before that happens.
Yeah, I think we're looking at 1,000 minimum for next gen at this point, if it does launch in the current economy, like where we're expecting prices to just be this inflated. So like, but the thing with the Steam machine is, it's just too much for what it's asking to me. And like the cheap bundle, the cheapest bundle doesn't, like, if you want to say like, oh, it's $1,050 or whatever, that I believe that's the controllerless bundle for like the cheapest version.
Yes, that's the thing that's so fucking stupid.
If you want the Steam controller, of course, like it does work with other controllers.
Yeah, I mean that does help.
But if you want like the Steam controller with it, you're paying 1,200 minimum or something like that, or 1,100 something for the bundle with the controller. So when you're talking those kinds of prices for what you're getting, I think it's an impressive machine on its own, just divorced from the price. But then once you layer that price stuff on top of it, it's like, oh, this was like the worst possible time for something like this to happen.
Absolutely. And Valve is as disappointed in it as we all are.
And yeah, and the thing is, like, Valve kind of knows they're in a no-win situation. It's just kind of like, well, they produced them as this stuff was happening. They were probably just kind of hoping that things would calm down, and then the Iran war kind of didn't help anything, just exacerbated all the issues that were already happening. And then they're like, I'm sure by the time the Iran war happened, they're just like, all right, we can't sit on these things and let them become obsolete in 2 years or whatever. We just have to,
because it's $1,000 for PS5 performance.
The thing with Valve is they're not positioning this to be some like PS5 killer. It's not going to like,
no,
you know, this thing isn't going to be outselling the consoles in the console space.
Yeah, the only way,
you know, it'll probably get shelf space at a Best Buy and stuff, but it's even the Steam Deck, which, you know, has become a very popular and cool device to have. That thing is still somewhat of a niche device if you look at just the sales figures of it.
Yeah, it's for the hardcore compared to the Switch too.
Yeah, Valve is just making these things as an additional vector to get into their ecosystem. They're not making it as the end-all be-all, like, this is our, like, product that's going to sell 100 million. Even in the best case scenario where this thing did come in at a much lower price, I don't think it was ever going to be this 100 million seller, because even the Steam Deck didn't achieve that in a much more favorable economy a few years ago.
The only way that they could even start to punch up to console sales numbers is if they sold it at a loss. I think I was kind of hoping for that with like a $500 bundle with Half-Life 3, but they can't sell it at a loss because Valve doesn't believe in closed ecosystems, and because if they did, they wouldn't be able to guarantee that they would see profits from games because because it's a PC. I think that enough PC gamers would just be fine with a console that plays their Steam games for a closed Steam machine to be worth it. Like, yeah, fine, you can complain about that, but that way more people are getting into Steam and supporting the broader PC ecosystem as a whole. And then if you want a PC, honestly, that runs most Steam games fine, then mini PCs are out there, and well, the one that I got for $500 in the fall, the GMK Tech's Nuckbox K12 that I am still rocking and hope will last me for a long time, is now $739 for
Yeah.
512 gigabytes. And so it's not that crazy to suppose that a 512 gigabyte Steam machine with all these fancy radios for the Steam controller specifically, and the light and the faceplates and things like that would be $1,049. The 2 terabyte is the ridiculous part, with $1,349 and the 2 terabyte with controller being $1,428. At least you save like $20 compared to getting it and the controller separately, but reserving the controller separately seems like it's gonna be a tall order, because I put in my reservation today. It's coming in 2027 by itself.
Exactly. Like, yeah, the controller's seeing high demand, and at least that's still like a little more affordable if that's all you're really interested in.
I think it's $100.
Sort of, that's at least something where, like, I'm not personally interested in it. I'm kind of fine with. Are we getting shot at?
No, I was firing cannonballs at crab monsters. Sorry, I should have warned you.
We're good. That's cool. I just wanted to be sure. The demand for the controller is pretty high, and I did see, I forget, I read something that made a pretty good point, that I'm betting that Sony and Microsoft are both looking at what the Steam machine does to kind of understand where the console market might be if they try to come in with a price like that. Because if the Steam machine does sell out very quickly, and there is proven to be a high demand despite the price, maybe a Sony and Microsoft go and look at this and say, hey, people are willing to eat this kind of price. Even if this isn't ideal for us, we can still launch and have some success. Whereas if the Steam machine, which I've heard is not being made in any massive quantity, if that thing is like readily available on store shelves after a few weeks, that's probably a bad sign. Well, we'll see like how things go.
Yeah.
Like that price is definitely something a lot of people are going to balk at. It just remains to be seen how much. So I think Sony and Microsoft are probably kind of keeping a close eye on, like, the Switch 2 kind of got in right under the bell, where they were able to launch at a pretty decent price for what that thing was and only had to raise it recently. Whereas this is like the first, or one of the first major gaming related products that's had to release in this environment full bore. So we do have a player ship on the horizon. I'm just kind of watching them.
Okay, well, I'm getting down really quickly, and
I'm
gonna be on the sails as soon as possible.
Yeah, I do still have a chest to dig up, so
I think we just leave. I'm sorry.
I'm good with just going. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm usually the one who's raring to go, but I definitely don't want to get sunk with all this loot.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to just cut bait and.
Oh, by the way, we have a horn of.
Don't lower the sails that much. I still need to get us out of here.
Oh, right. Well, when we do need to get open water. Okay, we rode the rocks carefully. Oh boy. Oops. We do have the horn of far winds.
Fair winds.
Somewhere in fair winds, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
I think we use that if we start getting chased. We use that. Otherwise, I think I'd rather.
I think we do it for rule of cool.
Yeah. It depends, because like you do lose value on it the more you use it, but it's all right.
Oh, and it's not that much more speed.
Okay, I almost got blown off the ship there.
Oh my god! Please record that.
I just got like blown straight up.
Gosh, yeah, I would love to see a clip from your perspective there.
Yeah, let me save that.
Thanks.
Okay, what was I saying?
Well, while you're collecting your thoughts, it's interesting too, because I just read from Twisted Voxel that the PlayStation boss Hideaki Nishino has talked about the next generation PlayStation platform and how he intends to have Sony differentiate itself from gaming PCs by potentially making a PS6 handheld. Probably a portable PS5 level of
I
power.
think that's probably the right move in this environment, is just get as many ways for people to play your games within your ecosystem. Let's say the Series X and S were launching in a post Steam Deck world. I think Microsoft probably would have gone and tried to push for a handheld rather than what they ended up with the Series S. Because I think those are both trying to accomplish that same similar goals. The handheld wouldn't come in at the same price as Series S, but accomplishing the goal of getting people from different segments who are looking for different things interested in your ecosystem. I'm not too negative on the Series S. Like, I understand why in retrospect it could be seen as like a mistake in a lot of ways. I don't know, like, to me it's like, it at the time that it launched, for the price it launched, is a pretty impressive machine. And I
Yeah.
think 6 years on, of course, maybe now with how expensive the Series S has gotten, I would be fine if they just said, okay, we're cutting off the Series S. 6 years into the generation, your players got basically an entire full generation, what would be considered a pretty full console generation out of it,
Yeah.
and just sort of make Series X the new baseline. I kind of figured they would do that eventually, so I wonder if they will actually.
Either
Like,
that
I,
or what you do, I think, is you turn remaining stock towards a dedicated Xbox handheld. Because
exactly, like,
then you can strip
yeah,
out
just
some things that wouldn't really be necessary in a handheld, like the expansion slot, potentially.
yeah, yeah.
Because I can't
And
imagine
the like
carrying an SSD around jutting out the
I
back.
and and I know with the whole Xbox handheld thing, it's like, okay, they have the ROG Ally X stuff, and that stuff, I've heard mostly positive things. I've never laid my hands on one, but it's like, okay, they're trying to improve in the handheld space, but they really need. The one major thing I hear is that, like, the Windows experience is still like just atrocious
And we
compared to
called
where
the
now it is.
handheldification of gaming some time ago, so check that video out as well.
Yeah. And like,
But
I'm all for that, but I think Xbox specifically needs to, if they are going to do like their own first party actual, not just slap the Xbox logo on an existing handheld and add a few things in like the Ally X, if they're going to do their own dedicated handheld, which they seem like they've been back and forth on, it needs to be console level user friendly, because
mhm.
what they have now does not sound like that at all.
Yeah, that's what the point of the ROG Ally and similar is to
Right, but
test that
like,
out.
even the like game mode stuff that they have there, they've made improvements over time, but it's still just very
Oh,
much.
absolutely,
The
because
impressions I've heard have been, this is still a usability nightmare, even in the best case scenario. It's
yeah,
just
because
weird
Windows
stuff.
11 is a fucking nightmare. I mean, before the show, we were having trouble with the Xbox apps party system cross talking between Xbox app on PC and your Xbox. So
Yeah.
they can't even nail that down on Windows. Then they really have to work hard to
Yeah.
improve Windows in order for that to work. But if they do end up making a first party handheld next gen console, then after I consider getting the either getting the next gen or just opting out and waiting. If it's a reasonable price by then, maybe after the AI bubble pops and RAM goes back to normal, then maybe I get it because it would help me with really get even more into some smaller games that are really addicting, like Abyssus. Holy
I still
crap, I
need to
love
try
this
that.
game. I
I
love
I
this
will
game so
definitely
much.
try that tomorrow morning. I've been really meaning to, and I was going to actually play a bunch of Game Pass stuff this morning, but I ended up playing other stuff that I'll get into in a moment. But yeah, go on about Abyssus.
Yeah, okay, so my favorite weapons so far are the shotgun and lightning gun, and I've gotten pretty far in with the lightning gun. I still haven't finished an expedition yet, because it's really tough in single player, but I've beaten a few bosses that I used to consider really tough, and that includes trivializing after a while the boss of the gardens, who I forget the name of, but he's like a fish dude, general something or other. Anyway, like he sends columns of water after you, and like you have to dash carefully and stuff. But the real beauty of Abyssus is finding your own combinations of primary and secondary and ability effects. What I mean is, your primary fire can be triggering something else, your secondary fire, and your ability, which is usually just a grenade. But I found the turret ability, and that is really cool because that can keep firing at enemies, drawing their fire a little bit, and building up effects. Like, I got a really good run recently where I had my primary fire on my lightning gun, which fires super fast now after putting a bunch of soul fragments into the Wheel of Souls, because obviously it's a roguelike. Obviously, you get
Yeah.
stronger over time. Uh, but anyway, that built up a barrier, which was really cool. And that barrier, I believe, did not take damage until, or decrease at all until I took 15 damage. So as long as I avoided damage, I was golden. And secondary fire wise, I had a lightning ball that would explode and also would cause wind damage to enemies. And then my favorite thing actually was having a grenade. Well, actually, it ended up being a turret later. But yeah, that created brine canisters that you could then throw. So it kind of created a virtuous feedback loop there. And once you really get familiar with the level layouts, there's 2 levels that you can be randomly put into, and then you have to do the gardens. And then I'm in like this purple cave with more robots. It's hard to describe without actually being there. I apparently
Yeah.
can't sell this here either. Well, this giant black powder barrel.
Yeah, all the Smugglers League stuff. I never bother with that, to be honest, unless I'm going on a specific
Well,
voyage.
is there a Smugglers League representative on this island? I feel like there is.
No, they're on certain islands, like the regular island. They're not on the outpost.
Yeah, we'll just leave it for the next person then.
Yeah.
Pay it forward. That was awesome. I can't wait to play that with you on the next show.
Yeah, I will definitely carve out some time tomorrow morning. I was gonna have time to play stuff, and then I got called into work, and I was like, well,
Right, yeah.
I could say no, but the overtime is too much to resist, given that I'm going to be working July 4th, and if I work today,
brutal.
So basically, if I work today, my entire July 4th shift is going to be overtime as well, which will be absurd because it'll be my regular pay plus overtime plus holiday pay plus the weekend differential. A lot of money per hour. Basically enough to pay for a vacation.
Wow. Nice. Because July 4th is on a Saturday for me, I'll have that Friday off, and then my mom will come down and see the fireworks with me Saturday night. Probably on my apartment roof or Union Market's roof, which is really cool because I'm close to the Capitol building. That's probably the only thing that I would be interested in seeing anyway, because I wanted to go to the Great American State Fair to film and mock it after going to the Apple Store and finally filming the DC History Center, but it was 79 degrees out with 83% humidity. I was basically melting by the time I got into the store. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to walk home as quickly as I can and just not with that. And it turns out that Sunday, when I thought about doing that, it was closed for indefinitely. Yeah. So this has been a poorly planned disaster. It would have been nice to have a normal administration where I could really celebrate America's 250th. But, well, there's always the 250th anniversary of the Constitution in 2037. Or the anniversary of us actually winning our independence in 2033. Again, hopefully with a normal administration. The other games I've been really into lately have been starfox and Pragmata. I'll go over those quickly and then let you describe what games you've been playing. So, starfox. I finally got past the part that had vexed me in the original 64 game of fight of that snowy planet where with the bomb, and you have
Oh
all the
yeah, the
major
dog
named
fighting mission.
people
Yep, yep.
fighting
Mhm.
you. I still feel like Star Wolf has plot armor because I really just could not lock in to kill him before the end. But I feel like there's been a couple branching paths with, say, Slippy losing his engine and crash landing on Titania to
Mhm.
have to be rescued by me in the Landwalker, where things could absolutely have been different, and I could have gone to Sector Y instead. And so this is definitely the kind of campaign that's very replayable and
Yes, I
not
mean
a
that's the thing is
sell it
like
once you
the
beat it
the
sort of
people
game.
who the people who don't really like Star Fox, a lot of the reason is just because oh, it's such a short game, and it's like yes, it is, but to me, at least as a kid, I remember finishing Star Fox 64 and just starting it again and seeing all the different stuff that could happen. That was
Yeah,
part of the
trying to
fun.
get better. Yeah. And now I finally
Like
get it because the
did he
controls don't
find
suck ass.
yeah, and did he find like the secret path in the first level? I remember being my mind being blown when I found
Oh
out
yeah,
how
with the
like the
waterfall, I
yeah,
think.
Falco's like, let's go this way, and then you just follow him blindly through the waterfall. It's like, oh my god, there's a whole other part of the level here. Yeah, so that's kind of the
And a whole
ethos of
other
Star Fox.
boss, which
Yeah,
I
like
actually remember that from the trailer because the first boss was thoroughly kicking my ass, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's a different thing. Maybe it'll just be a side thing that will allow me to gain more stuff and be better prepared.
yeah, nope,
But nope,
nope. Any
that was the boss for that area, and so I
yeah,
could absolutely see myself playing that level again. And then there's local co-op and game share, which is nice. So
yeah.
I feel like this was a pretty good value, and it's doing numbers on the eShop for exactly that reason, with Breath of the Wild also climbing after a sale.
Oh,
So,
don't forget to lower emissary over
oh
here
duh.
before we go.
Why do I keep forgetting to
Yeah,
do that?
that's cool. I'm definitely gonna pick it up at some point, but I'm kind of focusing on a lot of old stuff right now. I'm not gonna go over all the like super old retro stuff I've been playing because that's kind of boring. It's just been a so I'll just say the other last week I picked up like for some reason someone traded in like a zillion Naruto and Dragon Ball Z games to my local retro game store, and so I ended up buying like $60 worth of
Wow.
those. So I have almost every Naruto and Dragon Ball Z game on the PS2 now. So I
Nice.
just kind of played an hour or so of each of those just to try them out. Some of
And
them
remind me again, do you
very
play them on a fat PS3?
yes,
Okay, so you have the
mostly
backwards compatible one.
yes. I have
Is
the
that the one with the
original backwards
hardware,
compatible one.
full hardware, or is it software
Yes,
emulation? Okay, full
yes. I have
hardware,
the
and
full
that's still
hardware. Yep,
going.
the 60 gig. Yep, it's still going. I mean, I did have to like I tried to take good care of it, but it does sound like it's it's like ready to die any minute.
So no yellow light
I'm
to
not.
death yet, but
No,
well,
no.
that's the
I
thing. I
mean, the
think
only thing I
most
ever,
people will wait because there are just so many good old games out there and
yeah,
old consoles.
and yeah, but the so I've been playing a lot of old games. Just that was something that I stumbled into. I wasn't expecting last week to like be like, oh, I can, and they had them for a really good price. I was like, oh, this is like better than I can get online. I'm just gonna stock up on these now. So I've been playing those. Not much really to remark on there. Just varying quality of licensed games. Some of them
Ah,
are pretty good and by quality developers. Some of them less so. I mean, I've been playing a lot of my old standbys. I'm still playing a bunch of Skate, just kind of doing a lot of the dailies and that basically, and free skating. It's just sort of
ah.
something where like I was playing a lot of Skate 3, just free skating, and I think the new game has successfully supplanted that, even though it's not perfect. So not much to say there, and also just playing Fortnite Festival every now and then.
Hmm.
Again, not much to say there. But the only old game I've been playing that might be worth noting is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Though it was
I'm
really
finally,
interesting to hear about the history of Donald Mustard and the fact that he was responsible for one of my favorite mobile games of all time in the infinityblade series, and before that
yeah,
was at a game that tried to give away $1 million but literally could not due to cheating. It was an original Xbox third-person shooter in
oh,
2005.
I know what you're talking about. Oh, what was it? Turok? No, that wasn't Turok, was it?
No, but that they did
No.
have a ridiculous marketing stunt where if you named your baby
Yeah,
Turok,
Turok was known for their stunts as well.
that was
God,
a
I'm trying to
claim at the
remember.
time, including
Yeah,
Burnout 2 paying people to speed which like yikes. But yeah, it was
I know
Advent
what you're talking
Rising.
about. I even I was gonna say I know what the cover of that box looks like because they had the $1 million thing in all the ads. Yes, Advent Rising. I was like, it's got like an orange box with a guy ascending in it, and
Right.
I just looked it up and I'm like, yes, okay, I do remember the ads, but I couldn't remember the name. Yes,
And the fact that he created Fortnite and is such a genius, it makes me really respect his career now that I've gone down a bit of a YouTube rabbit hole on that. Unfortunately, that did mean that a lot of development efforts were diverted for Chair Entertainment, which is still a wholly owned subsidiary of Epic, to that. And now Fortnite is hitting a bit of a ceiling itself, and Epic is going to AI slop with Unreal Engine 6. But the other new game that I've been still really falling in love with is Pragmata. Because this is how you actually create a high quality game. It doesn't have the best graphics in the world, but it has good graphics enough to bring me into the story. And more importantly, it has really creative environments. I just got into a huge biome with forests on the moon that you 3D print with
yep.
various objectives. I mean, that's basically the structure is like you go in and there's like 3 objectives to complete, and then you come back to a central area and move on from the open zone, which feels very Bioshock to me. But it also, again, has been getting me into that Souls-like rhythm of timing my dodges really well to slow down time, and getting a new bolt launcher that, when it hits, shrinks the hacking zone for some seriously large enemies that have been giving me stress, and red zones that you get keys to find, and read Earth memories that are incredibly adorable because you know how they ensured the quality, how they ensured that people would get into the central relationship is they had a group of female developers called
I
the
did see
Diana
that.
Police
Yeah,
to make sure that she was naturally cute and not contrived cute.
yeah,
And I'm already bracing for myself for the game to potentially break my heart later in the story.
yeah.
I don't know. It's not a spoiler. It's just like, ugh, don't break my heart like this. I love her. She's too adorable. And I finally got her an outfit that has her have pants so she's not cold on the moon. This game is so amazing. There's training simulations that all the ones that I've tried, I've 3-starred. All the secrets and collectibles I've been hunting down, a lot of them by looking them up, but there's still a lot of aha moments that I've had where I platform onto a tree and then jetpack over and then do a last minute dash to a platform and I'm like, yes, score.
Mhm.
uh, there's just such variety in this game. And that isn't even getting into the post game mode and true ending. What's it called? The unknown signal, where you try to get the true ending.
Mhm.
I can't wait to do that and then do another playthrough eventually on lunatic difficulty, because they do load their hardest of hard difficulties over at Capcom. But I
Yep.
haven't even thought about trying that until now, and I might go for 100% with this game because it is
Nice.
that fucking awesome.
Mhm.
I Yeah, again, it's really on track to become a game of the year for me. So again, if you hold off on GTA 6, I'm fine with holding off on it too. Uh, it would have been a
I'm like,
no-brainer if I was still playing games with my cousins, but they have had busy lives and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I'm like 90% sure I'm gonna get it. I just won't say for sure I will until I see footage.
Yeah, and whenever we do, we'll cover it here on SunnyRedemption Sailing, your bi-weekly voyage for BS3 gaming news-ish. Your bi-weekly-ish voyage for BS3 gaming news. So, when might you be free next week?
Um, I shouldn't be working as much overtime next week, so let me try to think. I think maybe. Oh man, I think I'm off. I don't know yet. Is my answer.
That's okay.
I'll definitely let you know.
Whenever you do, maybe we do one playthrough of Abyssus off
Sure.
show
Yeah.
and
I'm
to
gonna
get
play
your
that in the
sea
morning.
legs or brine legs,
Yeah.
as it were, because
Yeah.
they really love
I
their brine puns in that game. I will say.
yeah. I was playing a bit of Final Fantasy VII Remake this morning, and I was gonna play. I was like, all right, I'll play an hour of this, then try out some Game Pass stuff, including Abyssus. And then I got called into work, so that kind of scuttled those plans. But yeah, probably tomorrow morning. I don't have anything going on until later in the afternoon, so probably make some time
But yeah,
early in the morning.
next show in 2 weeks is Abyssus gameplay, unless something else comes along that's
Yeah.
more that's more compelling, or just there's so much more bullshit in the gaming industry, and we have to have a calm game like Sea of Thieves again to really talk
Yeah.
about it, because Abyssus can get hectic, I will say.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, we'll see. I'll try it out.
thanks for sailing with Sunny Redemption. You have a good one.
All right. See ya.
Bye bye.